friends, and welcome to today's reading. My setup is a little bit different, but it is very much makeshift, so please bear with me for today because I feel like it could fall apart at any moment. Anyways, for today's reading, we're going to be doing Why Are They Holding Back? It's just going to be a collective reading. Don't really have the time to do a bunch of piles or the space on my phone, so I'm still trying to sort all that stuff out. I'm still trying to sort getting a more solid setup out, but for now we're just gonna do a general reading. So of course, if it doesn't resonate, then definitely there are tons of other videos on YouTube that you can watch. I'm still trying to get a lot of stuff straight, but you're welcome to stay anyways. But I do hope it resonates, and I do hope that it is helpful and informative for you. So we're using the Mystic Mondays Tarot deck for today, but we're actually going to set it aside for now and get into the Oracle cards, of which I have many. So yes, I'm honestly like pretty tired right now for some reason. I don't know why I slept for so long. And don't say, well, it's because you slept for too long, because that's not real. I don't believe that. That's fake. But, and maybe this is just my own projection. When I was shuffling for this pile, there's just like a certain sadness coming through. Again, like that could be me, to be honest. Because sometimes like that's my vibe and I'm just in my depression era. But, yeah, there's just a little bit of sadness coming through. Like in my head, I heard someone being like, well, you know why, like, you know why we can't, be together, or why it won't work out, and something like that. Again, could be projection on my part, but I'm feeling like I'm also probably pulling on that energy as well. So anyways, the Oracle cards. So the first one we have is Making Waves. Momentum is building. It's your time. Achievement. I feel like it's so quiet right now. I think we'll actually be able to see a good amount of the cards like this though, so I'm kind of thrilled, instead of them always going off to the side. Oh my god, there's cat hair in my eye. We have the Six of Cups, number 41. We have Reflection. Reflection brings deep insight. Have you been avoiding self-reflection? Take your time to sit with your thoughts and feelings. Your inner world holds the answers that you seek. I'm trying to like do these. Normally I like ramble beforehand, but I think we're gonna try and lay them all out first before I talk too much. We have Beyond the Threshold of Fear. Your relationship with fear is changing. No more shall it hold you in its thrall. You are becoming able to observe it, to experience it, to have compassionate wisdom rather than resistance. Oh, what a spiritual marathon you have been running. Now the end is in sight. The power that you used to give fear is now transferred to your extraordinary heart. Sorry if I'm like slurping in the... Why can't I grab this card? I feel like I like swallowed so close to the microphone. I don't even know where the mic is on this phone. I had to get a new iPhone. Oh my god. It was literally, I'm getting off track right now, and I don't care, because if you want to hear the reading, then you also have to listen to my rambling. The two go hand in hand, okay? But yeah, like my phone the LCD was broken, I guess. Like it stopped being responsive to my touches. And I was gonna try and hold off on getting a new phone because I was like, well, I don't have the money for that, and I didn't. Okay, so I don't even know where that money came from. And this chair, I fucking hate this chair. And by the end of the night, we're getting the offshoot of all those like floods in, I think, Texas and other stuff where I'm at. So I was scared. I was like, okay, well, I can't do this. Like I have to have a phone. While I was driving there, it started storming so bad. I was like, just like white knuckling the steering wheel. Anyways, the point is I had to get a new iPhone. I got an iPhone because I had to do it like that so that I could like get the promotion that they were running. So I like paid off my old phone, but I got this one like at a discounted rate or some shit like that. But I ended up losing literally all of my photos and pictures and like my lyrics and poems and just everything gone down the fucking drain. And let me tell you, this phone, objectively worse than the last one. I had a 13, this one's a 16 Pro or some shit like that. I don't know. But this one's just like objectively worse. Like I can already tell it's functioning in a worse way than my phone that was 3 years old. So I forgot what the point of this was, but I think the point that I'm making here is I fucking hate iPhones, but I'm just in too deep. Anyways, I hope that was good story time for you guys, just wasting your time. But it's my video, so everyone else can get fucked. All right, so I actually do want to say something really quick because let me lay this card out. This one popped out while I was shuffling, so I did see it. We have the Hermit coming through as well. So, ooh, there's fucking cat hair everywhere. That's just not gonna get better. I don't think it's gonna, we're gonna find a way to uncat hair my house at this point. All right. So, first of all, I have some thoughts. I know I said I wanted to lay all the cards out, but I'm a liar. When I was shuffling, I was getting the energy that this was like definitely a more established connection than like, it's just like there's something else here that is like running a little bit deeper. So if you're trying to ask about a connection where like you guys are like just flirting or it's newer or like you've known each other for a couple months and then maybe they kind of went, you know, cold or stopped, you know, responding to you or whatever, I don't think this is going to be your reading. Like this to me seems like someone that you've known for years. And again, maybe I'm just projecting. Maybe I'm just absolutely projecting my own energy right now. But this really feels like something that has been established for a good period of time. This might be a like actual committed relationship that you feel like someone is pulling away from. This might be someone that you have known for years that has ghosted you or something like that. But like the title suggests, like they're holding back, even if it's someone who is actively present in your life, more consistently. I think that they are holding back, and there is this feeling here of like something that you guys aren't talking about, or something that they're not talking about, or a conversation that's just not being like had, that needs to be had. And like I said before, with the sort of energy of, well, this person's maybe thinking like, you know why, you know the answer to the question, you know why this person's like gone cold, you know why they're being unresponsive or why they're holding back. It's like this sort of unspoken thing between the two of you, but no one is really like explicitly saying anything. And I think it's because part of the reason why they're okay with that and okay with not really being explicit about anything is because they just feel like it's just the fact of the matter is this, like it's coming through as we both know, you know, how this is going to end. We both know how this is going to go. But for you, it's like, it's less accepting of just like, I heard like the status quo, or of like being on autopilot or something like that. Like this person seems like they're very much in like a, well, things are just the way they are and like they can't change sort of energy. If that makes sense. Like it's almost like they're just sort of accepting the way that things go in their life, maybe. Almost like throwing up their hands and is like, well, I can't, this is just how my life is. Like, this is just how things go. This is just how things go for me. This is just how things turn out, or, you know, it was always going to end like this. Like maybe this is something like casual that you know, you both ended up having feelings for each other, but they only came into it with the idea that it would continue to be something casual and then come to an end. And now you guys are reaching that point and you're like, well, maybe we could be something more. And they're like, no, because, you know, it doesn't matter how I feel and it doesn't matter how you feel. Like this was always meant to end like this. And that's sort of the energy that it's giving. It's someone who just throws their hands up and is like, well, that's the way things go in my life. And like, I think you're in the corner like, why? Why does it have to go like that? Like you have control and you have power, right? You know, and I do think that that sort of vibe that was picking up or is picking up on, I don't know why I said it like that. That sort of energy, like I think that it's something that they're trying to get past. I mean, the Hermit here, and it's so weird because I'm having to like look through the camera. This is a strange setup, but the Hermit and like Reflection, and even like the Six of Cups, or like pretty much all of the cards actually, just like it is a sense of like connecting with a deeper part of yourself and like really trying to reflect on things and maybe why things go this way. Like maybe if you guys did have a conversation like that and you were probably the first person in their life to pose the question why, instead of just being like, okay, or like, I understand, like you were actually like, well, you know, this is important enough and you're important enough to me to want to understand why. And I don't think that anyone's ever asked them that before. And I don't really think that they've asked themselves that in more of a critical fashion before. We all sort of do it in a passive way of, like I said, why? Why do things have to go like this for me? But it's like less so really trying to get to the root of it and more so like just, you know, so like being dramatic, or something like that. Yeah, I feel like I'm stumbling over my words a bit more than usual. It's pretty typical for me, but like I feel like it's a bit more than usual. But I think that this person needs like quiet time. Like that's one of the first things that of course like I see with the Hermit and Reflection coming through, and like beyond the threshold of fear, like I think that is saying like they really are trying to analyze their relationship with, I guess with intimacy is sort of, you know, the vibe I'm getting, like very much maybe like runner energy or something like that. Like this does seem like a casual thing or someone that you've known like in more of a casual sense for a while, and you guys might both have like unspoken feelings towards each other, but things just never really got off the ground, or you did try and have that conversation and they just seemed very resistant to being open. And I think that was sort of the trigger for this. This feels like a long period of self-reflection. I mean, the Hermit is a major arcana, so it's like coming through is like a hard stop of like the way that you have been behaving is like not sustainable. And I think it's not sustainable in their relationships too, you know, just like in that separate part of their life. But like when, you know, it comes to who they are as a whole, it's an unsustainable pattern that has bled into every aspect of their life. It's not just one that dominates their relationships and their connections. It's one that also has dominated how they've felt about themselves. Like I'm hearing that they've been touch and go with everyone and everything in their life for a long time, including themselves. Like they, not only do they, oh my God, Biscoff is like such a little ball right now. He's so cute. Not only do they not give other people room to exist in their life, but they just don't even give themselves room to exist. And I think that that's kind of where this, sorry, I'm playing with this little metal thing that I broke earlier, but I need to stem, okay? Or something like that. I forgot what I was saying. The ADHD is like really, I'm so tired right now too. And it's like this heavy energy. That's what I was trying to say, is like, I think that's where that sadness is coming through earlier, is like, there's something like shame here. This is, I feel similar to like one of the other readings that I did. I remember shame being a very big theme in it, but regardless, there is some shame coming through for like around this person, but it's something that's like less so they're ashamed of how they behaved. Like that's definitely probably going to be a factor, but it's just like an innate sort of shame that's like maybe caused them to repress certain parts of themselves and feel inadequate. And so I think the way that they decided, the best way to stop like feeling like this, to not have to really feel that feeling, because it's a tough feeling to just be ashamed of who you are, like intrinsically, like just, you know, not from any action, not from anything you did or said, or, you know, you're just the way you are, you're ashamed of it. It's a really heavy feeling, and it's definitely coming through that is kind of the way this person exists. They like carry a lot of guilt and shame just about the fact that they exist. Maybe they were made to feel really guilty in their childhood or something like that, or they were sort of shunned by a parent or a caregiver, their peers, or, you know, but yeah, I think the easiest way for them to repress this sort of feeling was to not really exist with themselves in a very like deep way, if that makes sense. So like I guess it's like they can write down who they are on paper, you know, but it might be more so regarding like their tangible achievements or like their physical traits and, you know, stuff like that. But like when it gets into like deeper stuff, like how they feel about someone or something, or, you know, how they process their emotions, how they cope with things, like there's a hard line drawn because they don't really want to know themselves in that way. And I think that that is like the biggest block. It's like, it came through like, it's not that I don't feel anything for you, but it's like, it's me, you know. And that always is like one of the worst things you can hear is, it's not you, it's me. Because that means that you can do everything right and still come up fucking empty. But like, this is someone who needs, unfortunately, is gonna need to like a lot of space to give themselves before they can, I mean, they just need to get back in touch with themselves. Like, and that's probably why that Six of Cups is coming through. It's coming through definitely as like, they lost so much of themselves along the way. Like, they look back at who they were as a child and they don't even see the remnants of that. And it makes them sad to feel so disconnected, you know, from just joy, the amount of joy that you feel when you're a kid, just for the fact that you exist, that you have the privilege of like doing the most basic things, like going outside or like talking to someone that you care about, like stuff that when life gets really fast and complicated, we forget about. And I think that they have forgotten. I think that they've forgotten a lot of things. And I think that they have more of a relationship with fear, with those sort of negative emotions in regards to themselves, fear and shame and guilt. They have more of a relationship with those sort of things than they do with themselves. I just got more tired. I'm tired as hell. I paused the timer on 1919, which is interesting. So that might be significant for you. I have some more cards. I have a fair amount more cards, but yeah, that's sort of the vibe to begin with. I don't know, just like very sad energy. It's just not, or I don't know, very heavy energy. I like cut my foot on a rock while I was at the river, and it's like swollen and bruised, and it really hurts. So I feel like that's not really great, but whatever. We have Lover with another 6. So they could definitely, I mean, it does seem like they're trying to find balance in their life. They're trying to, I just heard like walk the line between giving too much of themselves away and having enough for themselves. Maybe in the past they were someone that like, and this is something that I feel like I see a lot in readings, but like people who have like a bad experience or a few bad experiences and then they swing really hard in the other direction with their behaviors. So maybe this is someone who like went through a couple relationships, and those could be any type of relationship. Like, let me say, it doesn't just have to be a romantic relationship for it to fuck up your perception of relationships. Like bad friendships, I feel like people don't talk about the amount of damage that really like bad friendships can do. Friendships where someone is codependent or where they're really, really toxic. Like we hear a lot about like toxic family members or upbringings and like codependent romantic relationships, but a codependent friendship can fucking wreck you. Like, cause just because it's sort of a different dynamic doesn't mean that you care any less, you know? So like, it's very tough. So that could definitely be something that like, maybe it's not even a romantic relationship. Maybe it's just relationships in general that this person has found in the past. They gave too much of themselves away and then were so depleted, and it's coming through that they might have done that because like they wanted to feel like they knew themselves or understood themselves, and so it was, you know, easier to label themselves as like a giver than really get in touch with what they actually wanted. It was easier to just like immediately give when someone asked, instead of like set hard boundaries and be like, this isn't what I want in this dynamic or this relationship. It's just, it seems like there's a chronic avoidance of the self coming through. We have offerings, abundance lies in the heart that allows, share more than expected, and see love come around. We have, okay, I made these cards. I mean, clearly, this is what I do at work when I'm bored, to be honest. The universe is asking you to look at your options carefully and consider what is truly meant for you. Understand that just because something meets you on your path does not mean that it is meant for you. Be discerning about what you want and willing to take action towards it. Do not be passive. Fate decrees action. And then we have, oh my gosh, these are both of the fairy Barbie movies. We have a full moon. Oh, there we go. It's getting out of the frame. Shoot. Okay. I can put it right here. I was really trying to avoid that. I don't know what is on this card. Hold on. Okay. We have this one. Oh. It seems that you are unsure of what you want, but are asking spirit for something anyway. Sit with yourself, your circumstances, and your emotions, and figure out what it is that you truly want in your life. Write it down in a notebook, visualize it, and remain steadfast. Only once you figure out exactly what you want will you be able to begin to call it in. Okay, I have some thoughts already. Again, yeah, so I think that this is definitely a period of time for this person. Why do I have so much glitter on me? I just don't know where it's coming from at this point. This is definitely a period of time for this person of figuring out really what they want. Like, and being able to, again, just like know themselves. But like the sort of thing of this card in particular, I will say when I make these like cards, it's like an exercise in writing and I enjoy doing it. But like it's coming from a place of like things that I've experienced in my life personally. And I think that any good tarot reader, anyone in general, when doing something like this, like you're essentially giving advice. And one of the things that I've struggled with personally is like sort of just accepting what comes my way, because I'm like, oh my God, like it's meant to be. And I think the past few months for me have been like a wake up call that just because something falls into your lap does not mean that it is the most divinely guided thing to enter your life, or that it was meant to be there in the first place. Sometimes timing and circumstance just work like that, and it doesn't have to be, you know, perfect or strangely serendipitous. And like, I personally have been, I don't know what the lesson is, to be honest, but just experiencing that repeatedly. Like, things that come to me leave at the drop of a hat as well. And while I do think that, you know, sometimes, you know, fate can work in mysterious ways, I think a lot of the time, like, action is more important than just like waiting for something to meet you where you're at. I think this person with their relationships like has been very passive, because that passivity, that being like, you know, just like go with the flow, has allowed them to continue that touch and go sort of behavior, where they can attach and then detach at a moment's notice, because they didn't really do the work to like pioneer anything. They didn't really invest anything. So that means that they can just like, you know, fuck off and like peace out whenever the hell they want, because like this was not something that they wanted in the first place. They didn't make any really hard and fast decisions about it. You know, they're just like seeing where things go. And because of that sort of vibe, they feel like it gives them not power over the situation, but it gives them more control. And that like, if someone does, you know, sort of corner them and is like, what the fuck, they can be like, well, this isn't what I wanted in the first place. And like, it's like, yeah, maybe this isn't what you wanted in the first place, but you don't fucking know what you want. You just sit and accept anything that falls into your lap. And like, it's easier that way, because you don't have to do the hard work of really connecting or engaging or investing any part of yourself. I think if something demanded that they invest a part of themselves, they wouldn't even fucking know where to begin, which is maybe where this is coming from. But it's like, how do you invest a part of yourself when you don't fucking know yourself? You know, I think that maybe this is like, I'm not going to be like, this is, I know I said earlier this might have been a wake-up call for them, but you know, at the same time, like, sometimes it's not just one person. We like to think that we're the wake-up call for someone. We like to think that we're the catalyst for change. But even if you are that wake-up call or catalyst for change, as someone who tends to be that person, that really doesn't mean that you will get to see the change. It's a very thankless thing. You know, like, as someone who's been told many, many times, like, you know, I've been the person where they come back and it's like, oh, what the fuck is that? A fire truck, nice. You know, being that person where someone comes back and is like, I'm really sorry, like I didn't treat you right, and you know, I realize now, and I should have like, just because like people will, you know, come to that realization eventually does not mean that you get to see the person they will grow to be. So that's something to really watch out for. If you are sticking around and this person is just like being a piece of shit, but you're like, I see the potential, like I want to be the wake-up call so I can see that potential come to fruition, like you very well could be a wake-up call, but that doesn't mean that, you know, that doesn't mean that they have their loyalties lie with you. And that also doesn't mean that you will get to see the other side of that. But you know, this might be something that's been building up for a while too, with other relationships that they've gotten themselves into. It just feels like gotten themselves into. They constantly feel like with relationships and like people, they're in sticky situations that they don't want to be in, without understanding that their lack of accountability and of like having autonomy over where things go, like is causing these situations to manifest. Maybe they don't draw hard boundaries, or they muddle boundaries, and then when like the result of that is a dynamic that exists in a very like loosely what's the word I'm looking for? Like, when there's not a real label for it and it's like kind of existing in like an in-between. I forgot where I was going with that. Jesus Christ. I guess my point is, like, they're not one to really take accountability for things. But then once they are faced with like the consequences of their actions, especially in regards to other people, they're like, but this isn't what I wanted. And it's like, well, you never really said what you wanted. You just insinuated like 50 different fucking things. Like, we're just, you know, I'm just assuming here, you know, it's just, yeah. But this person definitely, like, at least currently, I think that they are reflecting on this. I think that they're reflecting on the ways in which, like, they might have been strung along, and then they might have strung other people along just by not really outlining any boundaries, any, you know, any hard stops on anything. You know, they push at people's like lines, and other people push at theirs, and it's just like this wishy-washy in-between fucking bullshit. And then when things don't go exactly how they want, it's like they don't really realize what they want until they're like, until shit like blows up in their face, and then they're like, but this isn't. And it's like, dude, come on, like, you did nothing to try and pioneer it in that direction in the first place. So very rambly. Yes, it's fine. Right now they are trying to reconnect with themselves. And I think that this is like the peak of that with this full moon energy. It's like the peak, the most concentrated time. Maybe they've like been losing a lot of friends lately, or losing a lot of relationships, or it feels like something fell away. Something like, I don't want to say shed, because I feel like that implies a more natural process of like, you know, things just sort of, but I don't know what that fucking noise was. It feels like something was actually ripped away from them. Now, it could be you. Again, like, I don't want to be like, you're the catalyst for change, and like, you're their wake-up call, and like, da-da-da-da. I'm really not trying to have anyone be delusional over here, because like, while this might be a divinely guided connection, or while like you really might feel like this is your person, they are also someone who is clearly going through some stuff. And I don't want to be a dick, but it does not sound like they're doesn't seem like they're putting a lot of energy towards you at the moment, which is, again, why, you know, we're looking into why are they like, you know, going cold, and like what's blocking this. And I forgot what I fucking said this was going to be in the first place, but this Tri-T is calling my name. He like shook his head, but it sounded wet. What the? I'm so sorry again for slurping, but I don't give a fuck. I love this Tri-T mix. It's like actually spicy. It's so good. Anyways, I just thought about putting hot sauce in it for like a millisecond, but I feel like that would be a bad idea. Yes. What was I saying? Oh yeah. It does not seem like they're giving a lot of like, or they're thinking about you a whole lot. Like, it seems like they're really trying to address this. Something here feels like it was like forcibly ripped from their life, and that it has caused them to turn inward and reflect more, and realize that this is not really a sustainable way of going about things anymore. Yeah. And like really examine the fact that they have more of a relationship with these negative or combative emotions than they do with themselves. I think is very much like the focus is not necessarily on their relationship with anyone else, but how their sort of unhealthy relationship with themselves, and then from there, like how that has affected their relationships with other people and things in their life. And I think that they're coming to an understanding that like there are things that they want, you know, and that to get those things, they have to, one, admit that they want them, and two, make an effort. That they can't just continue to accept whatever comes their way, because I mean, then like they're just they're just fucking along for the ride, you know, they're just on autopilot. I think that's a really good word for it, is autopilot. And it's like sort of, maybe someone said that to them, but yeah, I am getting an energy of like a fight somewhere. So maybe you did have a fight with this person, but I'm feeling like it's less so you and this person having a fight, and maybe like a friend or a family member that is like trying to get through to them about something, and it's just not, it's almost like for years and years and years, like it didn't happen, and then like they might have said something really fucking hurtful that just like, I'm feeling like that, you know, when someone says something and it's just like, it jolts you because of how fucking pointed it is, like that's kind of what it's coming through as. I'm sorry, this is a really rambly reading, but it's fine. I did want to say the album that I was listening to, or I think it's an EP, I don't fucking know. I actually forgot the name of it. No, I didn't. I think I remembered it. This is so embarrassing. Like, I literally slept for like 11 hours and I fucked up my wrist too because I slept on it weird. The album that I was listening to is called I Know You're Getting Older by Bogues. And watch it literally not be called that too, because I will absolutely just like incessantly listen to albums and then just completely forget their names. And if you feel so called to, I would encourage you to listen to that, because that was definitely like, I don't know, I feel like it's very applicable to this reading. I love that album. I love him in general. I think he's great. Some of the lyrics like might hit a little bit hard or resonate with you, so very much would like you to listen to that. But aside from that, I always do pull songs, and then we have a couple of messages from your person, like channeled messages, and then I have some little slips of paper too. So I know this is getting kind of long. I'm so sorry. I always do this, but yes, I do want to get into the tarot soon at some point. Okie dokie. So this one is literally not even done. The ADHD too is like crazy lately, because this card is like not even fucking finished. I'm gonna finish it right now. Hold on. This is embarrassing. Like talking to my therapist about this, because I was like, he was like, you really need to stop drinking so much caffeine, and he was like, does it even really affect you? I was like, oh no, I'm the like a fucking, it would take as much caffeine as like I don't know, it takes a shit ton of caffeine to affect me, which is why right now I'm falling asleep after drinking like 2 chai tea lattes. But yeah, he was like, you should try stimulants. And I said, no. That sounds like a bad idea. I don't fucking even know what's going on anymore. Okay, we're just gonna do the songs. Okay, we have Tonight I'm in Love on My Own by Wicca Face Springs Eternal. That's a really fun song. I remember the title of this one. That's literally so funny, is that I was doing this and I probably got distracted and thought I finished, even though I very clearly did not. Okay, we have Where I Lay by Movements. Which is like actually really a good applicable song. I mean, like, I love this song so much, so it's applicable in every situation. If anyone wants to listen to that song ever, I'm fucking down. But this one is like kind of about looking around you and like not having it all, but like knowing that this might be what you wanted, or what on a surface level, or what you cultivated, or, you know, might technically be where you're supposed to be, but you still just don't quite feel right about it. And it's very much what's like coming through with this person, is like they're looking around them and they're like, I feel like I have not been in the driver's seat at all, because they haven't, right? Like they've just kind of been doing whatever. and taking things as they come. And like, maybe there's someone who describes himself as very like easygoing or go with the flow, which anytime someone does that, I'm like, that's a fucking red flag, because I don't want someone to be easygoing. Like, I want someone to know what the fuck is going on in their life and like, you know, go there, you know what they want and go there. And I think that like, that's kind of this person, like they're under their perception that they're really easygoing and go with the flow and just take life as it comes. And that's great sometimes to like suspend the need for control and like take things as they come when you know that you have no control. But then you don't want it to veer into like just doing whatever the fuck. And that's kind of what this person is, the energy that they've been in for quite some time, and now they're like looking around at where they're at and who they are, and they're like, what the fuck? Anyways, we have Cry For Me by Honey. So maybe they've been dishonest about some things, but really it feels like they've been dishonest with themselves. And then we do have some channeled messages that I got just for funsy onesies. So we have, I'm so proud of you. Let this die. And these did flip out. I was in like, what the hell? Yes, God. I was wondering about it because they're a little bit contradictory, but I feel like that makes sense for this person. I know you from a past life. I feel like that's grammatically incorrect, but it's fine. And then we have I'm coming back. And so I feel like the let this die is like multiple sort of ways. Like I feel like there's a part of them that wants this connection to go away and does not want to deal with it anymore. And they want you to like stop hoping and just let it die and leave it be. But at the same time, like the I'm coming back makes me think like there's a part of themselves that is dying off and withering away and shedding. Like I feel like that's a better word to use now in terms of that, because it feels like more of a natural progression in the way that they're like leaving a part of themselves behind that's like no longer good for them and no longer serving them. So they're able to like let that part of them die and then maybe come back after. But again, like I know I mentioned the Hermit before, and like it typically represents like a really long period of self-reflection. So if they are to come back, like I don't know if it would be anytime soon. Like I really don't. And maybe that's why the let this die is coming through, like because they're probably going to need a long period of time to figure out some things about their life and themselves and the way that things have been going. But let me, my ankle just crunched. I am such a crunchy person. I just don't understand why. We're gonna get these little slips of paper. So these are just here for fun and for little bits of confirmation. It could add context, etc., etc. So much cat hair everywhere. Oh my goodness. Whoops. I'm dropping things too. And then after this, we're gonna get into the tarot, I promise. I know this reading, it's already so fucking long and it's not done yet, but it's fine. Okay, we have rain on the window pane. Maybe you guys have like spent a lot of time together at night, it was coming through, or like something about like it being like nighttime and like it's raining outside and you guys are kind of holed up together, like on the couch or like in bed watching movies, something like that. Oh, rain. Okay. So rain feels significant. I almost heard that it might be someone's name, or maybe someone is a water sign here or has like a water moon or water Venus. We have interconnected. I think that even though you guys like might not be physically together, you guys definitely feel each other's energy. And that might be like why if you're like frustrated at all about this, like it definitely could be because like you feel their energy around you, but like you just are not with them in the tangible sense, and it's like annoying you. We have self-love. This one fucking comes out a lot, which is annoying, to be honest. We have friendship. Yeah, like I said before, it feels like this was definitely something established, or like you've known each other for a good amount of time. So maybe this was like a friendship that you guys end up like catching feelings for each other, and it just, but you never really talked about it. And we have 15 and 16. Interesting. I can't do math, so if those numbers are significant to you, add them up, subtract them, whatever you gotta do. But yes, so ow, my wrist hurts so bad. We're gonna get into the tarot now, and I'm so sorry that that took so fucking long, but I'm gonna take a minute and put, alrighty, I put all the cards away, so we're gonna get into the tarot portion of your reading. So I did shuffle, sorry, my chair's squeaky. I did shuffle the cards prior to this, but I'm gonna shuffle them again as well and ask Spirit, why is there a person holding back from them? Why is the person holding back? Spirit, please tune into the energy of this collective as well as their person. It's an awkward angle, but it's fine. Okay, we have the Four of Swords coming out to start with. Ooh, the Queen of Cups. Why is there a person? Oh my goodness. The Five of Cups. This deck is getting super beat up. Oh my gosh. Let's see. What else can we get? The Two of Wands for right now. Okay, we'll get clarifiers in a moment, but yeah, I feel like this is pretty much what was coming through before, especially with the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords, to kick this off, and I don't always go in a linear order, but it's just what's catching my eye right now, is really about like a period of rest and a period of reflection. It's definitely a slower moving energy, which is interesting for the Suite of Swords, because we typically think of that as like a very fast, like quick. It's air, you know, so it's incredibly dynamic, and it, you know, it just like moves at the speed of light, really, especially when you think of like the Knight of Swords or something like that. There's like typically a very flighty energy assigned with it, so it's almost like antithetical, the Four of Swords is, but I think that it kind of shows us that like even in like, how do I put this? Even in an element that just like innately moves very fast, there is that balance that needs to be struck. There is that universal balance that everything must come into before you can move forward. And sorry, there's like dust everywhere. Oh my gosh. And I think that this person has been existing in a way thus far, as we saw in the Oracle, that is very much out of balance. They've just been very, like, you know, passive, taking what comes to them and then managing to be upset about it anyways. Not really knowing themselves super well, not really interacting with other people in an in-depth way. They've been just detached from everything and everyone around them because for some reason that seems easier, even though it looks like, and it really feels like, they've just been feeling this dissatisfaction in their life for a while now. they've been continuing on in that energy because I guess they weren't able to really see things from more of that logical point of view of like, this is, you know, this is what's not working. Like, I mean, it just makes sense, right? If you're not really investing in yourself or in other people or relationships, and you just keep things, you know, at arm's length, that feeling of dissatisfaction, of course, that's going to come up because you're not really doing anything or living life to the fullest. You're just sort of existing behind like this wall of glass because it might be safer in the moment, but it never gives you that emotional fulfillment. But it feels like this person didn't really realize that until now somehow. Not to sound rude, but you know, or maybe at the very least they didn't realize that that's what they were doing, and that's sort of it. Maybe it was like sort of an innate way to protect themselves, or like a subconscious way to protect themselves from someone or something, or a feeling that they didn't like. But right now, like, they're definitely, you know, as with the Hermit and a few of those other Oracle cards, they are in a period of deep, deep self-reflection. I feel like the Four of Swords can, like, you know, it is rest first and foremost, and then it's reflection. But this feels like it is rest, like, pioneered by reflection. It's the knowledge that to be in that Hermit energy, you have to clear away all of the noise. And to do that, you have to be alone. So it's solitude, you know, but it's solitude for a purpose. It's not like they're just isolating, like, whereas before, like, maybe they would isolate because it was easier. Right now, they are in more of like that active energy of like isolating for a purpose and a reason, and with a goal in mind, you know, to understand what they really want. Yeah. I also just heard like that they might come out of this period of rest and what they want might not be you. I think it like kind of goes back to what I was saying before, like in the event that you were this sort of catalyst for this like call to inner work, in the event that you were the wake up call, you know, or something like that, you also might not be around to see the other side of that. I think that that's something that's coming through very strongly, is like this is something that this person is doing for themselves. And that's what's the most important factor here, is that this is a very self-focused thing. So, you know, I'm not going to speak to like if this is like your person or whatever, you know, that they're going to come back, or like I know that card came out earlier. It is just a general reading, so it, you know, it can apply to many people's situations in many different ways. But there is definitely a point to be made here that like this person might do all of this work and might really look hard at themselves and at you and at their past relationships and at everything in their life, and truly feel that they just don't want a relationship with you, or that they don't want a relationship right now, or that that's not, you know, what they want. Like they could come to a very similar conclusion as to the excuses that they've been making to you to put distance between the two of you. And that's not a continuation of this sort of unhealthy relationship with themselves. It is the extension of their healing and the fact that they very well just might come to that conclusion. And I think that it's important that you realize that like this is their healing journey absent of you. I think I pointed it out before, but this is like a very like they're very much in an energy of the self right now, and they don't have anything to really give to you. Like they probably aren't thinking about you very much right now. They're probably really just trying to focus on themselves and on what they have control over, and being able to exercise that control and not fall into those unhealthy patterns of passivity. And they probably don't have the energy for a relationship. They really probably don't. And like, they could do this healing because they want to come to you better, or they could, that could definitely be a motivation, or that just might not even be on their mind at all, to be honest, as an outcome. But yeah, that's just something that I feel I need to point out, is that you might be thinking of this person strictly in the way that they are involved in your life, and forgetting that they're like kind of their own person. Which, not to like be mean or anything like that, but it just feels like a message that needs to be relayed. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, so I think that this is someone who's like, they're trying to get more in touch with their feminine energy with that Queen of Cups, and sort of like, again, understand what they want. Like, this inner voice, this intuitive, side of themselves that we get with the Queen of Cups. It's a highly intuitive, a highly feminine energy, and it's the energy that they have repressed. I know, like, the passive nature, like, that's a very typically feminine energy. It's like, the idea that we're more receptive to things, but in a lot of ways, like, this does not come through as a way that, like, they've been embodying the divine feminine or anything. It comes through more so as that shadow side. If anything, they have been, far too in their masculine side, in that quote unquote receptive way of existing in life was just an extension of like their attachment to these unhealthy behaviors, which is just like ultimately an extension of a need for control. If you remain detached, if you remain passive in your relationships and everything that sort of comes towards you, that's ultimately you maintaining space and control over the situation. But it looks like with this Four of Swords, with this like hermit energy that was coming through, they're definitely getting more in touch with like that sort of side of themselves, and like what they really want at their heart, like in their heart of hearts, what they want and who they want to be, not who they are on paper, not what they should want on paper because of other circumstances in their life. Like, it just, at their core, what their heart is longing for. They're trying to really listen for that. And it's like something that's very, very quiet for them. For some people, like, that are very in touch with that, they just know, like, they just know. And I think this person like looks at people like that, and they're shocked and like almost jealous that it can come so naturally, because I don't think that they've ever had that. Like, even before they started really getting, entwined with these unhealthy ideals and unhealthy ways of existing, like, it comes through that there's always been some sort of intuitive block there, and a block when it comes to interacting and embodying that feminine and more so receptive to their emotions, like that sort of energy. They've never been really good at that. They've always felt detached. I'm almost hearing like robotic, like maybe they have felt like a robot compared to other people because they have struggled so consistently to get in touch with their emotions. And maybe that's where that shame and guilt that I was saying came from earlier, because like they see other people who just like are able to feel so deeply and feel so easily, and it's just coming through that like they've never really been able to do that. Yeah, and the Five of Cups, like, I think that they've lost a lot along the way. They've lost a lot of like people probably, but again, I was saying before with like that Six of Cups, like that sort of childlike innocence of being able to take things at face value and being able to take yourself at face value, not really see that anything is wrong with you. Like, we're taught that things are wrong with us. That is just the truth. We're taught that like there are parts of us that need to be suppressed because they're not socially, oh my gosh, acceptable. And like, that's ultimately where that sort of comes from. Like, of course people are like so different and stuff. Like, there's definitely the possibility that they could have just felt like innately that things were wrong, but like seldom do we feel that way without some sort of external pressure. We don't come into the world thinking that we're wrong, that's just not really a thought in your head. That sort of comes after the fact that we like see the way people are receiving our behavior, and it does feel like they feel like they've lost so much along the way. Yes, like people and things, but parts of themselves. Again, this is a very like self-centric reading, and they want to get back to that. They want to reconnect with all those parts that they have repressed. They want to connect with their intuitive and feminine energy. They want to know what their heart is saying to them. This is someone who definitely feels like they operate with more of a head over heart sort of energy, because it was just easier. It was easier to think about things logically, easier to think about what they should want, what they should do, what they should say, rather than like what they want. I think this is someone who was taught that the things that they wanted were not acceptable, okay things to want to keep in your life. And so they just kind of carried that on forever and ever. But it's almost coming through like someone in their life might have told them like, so at what point do you have to stop blaming like the things that happen to you, or stop blaming this, or someone, this does again seem like someone else besides you that they might have gotten into a fight with, that said something that really hit them hard and like really hurt them, but was also like, okay, true. Because maybe this is someone who like has blamed past experiences like consistently. Well, I can't because da da da. And it's feeling like someone said to them, like, how long are you going to keep using that as a scapegoat for your behavior? You're a fucking adult. Like, you have to get your shit together because this is no longer sustainable. So it's, like, definitely... I mean, I don't really know if you would know anything about that unless, like, they told you, but it feels like someone really fucking said something that cut deep, and they were like, okay, so... I'm mad, but you're not wrong, is kind of the vibe. The Two of Wands, like, they're definitely still in this energy of, like, or they're definitely going to be in that energy for a while. That Two of Wands, of just, like, kind of waiting, seeing, like, trying to plan things out, figure out really where they're going. They're not ready to make a move yet, whether that be towards you or with anything else in their life. Yes, so we're going to get some clarifiers, and I'm going to continue to struggle with this deck probably until the end of time. But, God, my nose is so itchy right now. Did I just unhook my septum piercing? I don't know what happened. That's fine. That's fine. Alright, let's get some clarifiers. So, can we clarify the Four of Swords? Seven of Pentacles. I like this sort of gradient. You see, it's like a lot of these like blues and purples, and then like some oranges. But there are a lot of different colors in this deck, so I find it, oops, I'm dropping stuff. Really interesting when a certain color scheme tends to pop out. But yeah, anyways, sorry. Let's see. Clarify the Queen of Cups. We have the Ace of Pentacles. The Five of Cups. The Five of Swords in the reverse. And, oh my goodness, the Two of Wands. Oh my gosh. The Two of Swords. Okie dokie. So yeah, I know I was talking about like dissatisfaction earlier, but I feel that with the Seven of Pentacles. Let me see if I can move these up a little bit. I'm so sorry, this reading is fucking crazy, but everything is, and it's not gonna stop being that way. unfortunately. Yeah, so the Seven of Pentacles, like, coming through, it is about, like, reassessment and about being like, this is what we got going on, like, how do I really feel about it? But a lot of the times, and most of the times, like, it's about being dissatisfied. It's about not really, like, looking at what you have and being like, this isn't what I wanted, even though, like, you absolutely planted those seeds and tended to them. And that's kind of the energy that this person is giving, of being like, this isn't what I thought would happen, even though they, like, actively made, or, like, actively passively, you know, they made the decision to be passive and, like, not really take control, not really admit to themselves that they have the ability to make choices that will lead them in a certain direction, and so they accept the decisions that other people make for them, and then they're like, no, this isn't what I thought would happen. And that's sort of what that Seven of Pentacles is saying to me. It's saying, like, they are currently dissatisfied with the way things have been going, but dissatisfied with the garden that they have fucking tilled at this point. And they're trying really to look at the ways in which they have created this, created everything for themselves, like the life that they have cultivated. They're just feeling in every way, I think, dissatisfied with it. And they've been so detached for so long from things that, like, it really is unfortunately having, like, to come through as a hard fucking realization. Like, again, it's something that they know logically, but at the same time, like, they're cut off from that. I feel like I'm a little bit contradictory, but I know what I'm trying to say. It's like when you know something, but at the same time, it's like repressed. So, like, even though deep down in your subconscious, you know, like, that ego self is really the one that is, like, getting that fucking hard realization. Because, like, I can say right now that being super duper passive and, you know, just accepting what comes your way, and then, like, being confused as to where you like, are, that's fucking stupid and that's not good. But, like, it's a whole other different thing when you're existing that way for so long. Like, you don't even, you know, it's very possible that you could not realize you're doing that. And maybe if you kind of look at this person, you're like, what the fuck? Like, you have to know what you're doing. Like, are you playing dumb? Unfortunately, they're not, and they don't. Like, it just comes through, like, in a lot of ways, they're very clueless. Even if they seem to be really smart and with it and aware of things, they just kind of seem like very spacey and out of it. And I think that they might try and, like, play it like they're not. And they might try and, like, appear one way, but, like, really they're detached, they're far away, like, they're very much out of it. They might, like, struggle with dissociation or stuff like that. It just does not feel like they're super duper, like, grounded. Even if they try and present that way, it definitely does not, their energy is not very grounded. But at the same time, it's not like they're super heavily ingrained in their inner world either, like, because they're detached from that as well. It is like that, just like I was saying, chronic detachment from literally everything, from everyone, from themselves, from, like, just the physical world, and even the spiritual and emotional world. They're in this almost purgatory, this, like, in between, where they're not really heavily invested in either space. So they're just, like, kind of drifting along. I just, like, rubbed something into my eye that is burning the fuck out of me. And I'm getting chest pain right now. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Okay, it's fine. The Queen of Cups with the Ace, and, like, yeah, really knowing what you want. I think that this is an opportunity. This Ace of Pentacles comes through as an opportunity to go in that other direction and find what you want, and then find how to ground it in reality, how to, like, manifest it in the tangible and physical sense. And there's some release happening here. Like, there really is, with the Two of Wands, like, with the Two of Wands, the Two of Swords, like, I think that they're able to, like, look at things, look at the path that has been, like, laid out for them, and, like, it looks like they're starting to really move forward towards the end of this sort of awakening period. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I do see that that's the end. Because the Two of Swords is beneath the Two of Wands, like I will say, it feels like it's definitely further out. And sometimes the Two of Swords, while it can talk about like decisions and a fork in the road, it can also indicate not making decisions. But it feels like they will eventually like make a choice about something or someone. So it may be in regards to you, if that's something that you're waiting on. If they said, let me get back to you, you know, if you were like asking about a relationship or something, they were like, oh, let me think about it. Unfortunately, like I don't think that this is something that is going to be worth sticking around for. That sounds really bad, but it just feels like even if you guys were to come back into contact or make things work, it would be so far out that like right now, not to like tell you what to do or anything. And I do actually kind of want to get like a different deck and like do the future of this connection, because like I feel like it can go in so many different ways, but right now I'm getting like in the near future, it's just going to continue to be this period of limbo and rest for this person at the very least. And like while decisions are like they're moving towards that, they're definitely moving towards that with like these cards, they're all really looking forward. Like the Queen of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles, they're looking towards the future. They're looking for towards the fucking towards what is now being sown. This person with the Seven of Pentacles understands that where they're at is not where they want to be. And so they're going to try and like maybe plant some different seeds or like try some different fertilizer or some shit like that. Really figure out what they want to grow in their garden and move towards that. But in this very moment, they're still like not ready to come towards anyone or anything. Like it's not just you. It's definitely not just you. And if you're like trying to take this personally or something like that, like just don't do that, because that's not going to be healthy for anyone. But it just feels like they're not really ready to do anything that would cause them to like make a decision, like a really not life-changing, but a decision where like they would have to put a lot of themselves into it. Like they're really trying to focus on themselves, and they are in a period of like rest, respite, and release. Like the Five of Swords with the Five of Cups, like they understand now, or they're coming to understand that what they were doing hurt people. I think like the Five of Swords, it's like a conflict card, but it's conflict with other people, right? And so that tells me like that they understand that they see it now, that this has been affecting not only themselves, but the people around them for a really long time. And that they can't go back and undo the way that they've treated people and the way that they've hurt people. And the most that they can do is try and make amends and move forward and then forgive themselves. Because genuinely, like from the bottom of my heart, I believe that this is someone who did not mean to hurt anyone that they hurt. If they did get into a fight with you or someone else, like they did not mean to say the things that they said. And so the Five of Cups, like there is that feeling of loss. Like there's feeling of losing parts of yourself and then losing people because you didn't realize what you had, or you were taking advantage. And I think that it's really, really hard now that this person is in tune with their emotions, or they're getting there. It's really, really hard for them to reconcile with the fact that they have hurt people and that they've lost people and things that will not be coming back into their life. They can, not always, I want to say not always, sometimes we do lose pieces of ourselves and they're gone, and that's just how that works. But with a lot of healing and stuff, like a lot of times you can reconnect with that. But when it comes to people and those external circumstances and things, you can't get them back sometimes. You can talk to someone and they can forgive you, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be in your life. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying of like being the catalyst for change for people, having them come back and apologize, or be like, you know, this was so wrong, I treated you so poorly, like I see it now. But just because someone says that to you doesn't mean that you have to be in their life and that you will get to see the end result of who they end up turning out to be, because some people don't want to fuck with that. You know, even if someone's changed, like if you've done too much damage, and I feel like this person has done, for someone or something, too much damage has been done here, and it's not feasible that it will be repaired. And I think that it's incredibly, incredibly painful. And I think that that's why, like, they are not in a state to come towards you, because they're sort of trying to grapple with the fact that some things now are gone, that they didn't mean to lose, but that they ended up losing, and that the best way to move forward and through that is to accept it. Yeah, so very much a heavy energy, but it is one of self-acceptance and of not trying to internalize in a way that is harmful, and, you know, trying to accept that and not be riddled with like guilt and shame about it. So yeah, they're moving towards things that are more concrete. They're moving towards being able to make more concrete decisions about like themselves, their future, what they want, who they want to be, who they want to be with, all of those things. But it just does not feel like it will be in the near future. And that if you are sitting there waiting for this person to make a decision about you, that even if you guys will come back into contact, like, it's just, don't hold your breath that they'll be back in like the next couple of weeks, because it's probably just not going to happen, to be honest. We have death. We have the moon in reverse. Interesting. Oh wow. The Four of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. Okay. And then on the bottom of the deck we have the Five of Wands, and that kind of, I did say I was giving Knight of Pentacles energy before. This person like is very, like, this is something that's going to be very, very slow moving. We do have like a good mix of elements here, but we really don't have much fire. It's mostly like earth and air and a little bit of water as well. Or actually no, we have Scorpio and Cancer coming through. I forgot about the significations. Earlier with Virgo was the Hermit. So Mercury as well, and I believe it rules the 6th house. So those could all be significant. Scorpio with death, as well as Pluto in the 8th house. The moon will be Cancer with the moon and the 4th house. So any of those could be significant to this person's chart, if you know their chart, which I know is probably a long shot. I don't know how you would. I don't know your relationship with this person, though. I feel like you guys have known each other long enough to maybe know a little bit, but some people, I have no clue. Anyways, so yeah, the Knight of Pentacles and like the Two of Wands and the Two of Swords, like this person is kind of finally being able to acknowledge their own duality, acknowledge that there are decisions that they have to make, and like that life is going to be from here like constant forks in the road, not necessarily as like tests for them, but just like moving forward. Spirit is not really gonna give them as much leeway now that they've learned this lesson, so they're really gonna have to like buckle down and try and exercise the muscle, you know, exercise what they've learned. And this Knight of Pentacles tells me that, you know, because of their past, because of these things that they've worked through, even after reconnecting with themselves and trying to figure things out a little bit more, like they're still very tentative, and there's still someone who is not going to be able to just like that make a decision about something or someone. They need time, they need space to reflect, probably even more so after this. They feel like they need to reflect. Whereas before they were doing absolutely no thinking and just kind of on autopilot, now they're trying to be very, very careful and deliberate with the things that they do and the things that they say and the decisions that they make. Sorry, I had to pee. Oh my god, Melanie's upside down in her little tunnel. That's crazy. Anyways, they're trying to be very careful about the decisions that they make. Very deliberate is what's coming through, and very much in a slow moving energy. Especially with like the ace here being the Ace of Pentacles. Like, this to me tells me that the things that they do going forward will continue to be grounded, and that groundedness will be acting as like in opposition to the way they were before, which was being very spacey, being maybe very dissociated. I'm like, not to diagnose or anything, but maybe this person has dealt with trauma in the past that has caused them to be further out, if that makes sense. It's a very strange sensation. It's the kind of sensation where, like, if you've ever dealt with dissociation, and feeling that sort of psychological detachment, it's really fucking hard. And that definitely could be a factor here, but it just feels like detachment, spaciness, a lack of being grounded. Like, that's something that this person has chronically dealt with, whether that's because of external circumstances or because of the way that they've, you know, sort of learned to exist. Either way, again, it's a general reading, so, you know, and there's some stuff in here that you might not know about at all, depending on like your relationship with this person. Anyways, but yeah, the Four of Pentacles with that like Five of Swords in reverse, I think that they're like, what they're doing now is trying to hold on to what they do have, like holding on to people that have stuck around for them, holding on to things that, you know, do make them happy, that they know they want to keep in their lives. Again, we have Earth coming through, so it's a sense of like really looking for what is stable, looking for what grounds you, but accepting what has been lost and holding on to what has stuck around. You know, like, I think, like I said before, this person has probably lost people or things. They're probably okay, all right. Anyway, sorry. There are probably definitely people that have left their life, and people that they've done wrong, people that they've really hurt is coming through. And I think that they realize now that like the people that they do want to keep in their lives, like, they might have taken them for granted, and they are going to make it a point to hold on as tightly as they can, to not exist in that sort of energy of like, whatever happens. It's like, no, I care about you and I value you, whatever the dynamic is, and I want to put in the work to hold on to this and to continue to be with you, around you, spend time with you, etc. And the Moon in reverse, like, the Moon is a very intuitive card, but it's also like very much about anxiety. It's about the unknown. The Moon and Cancer in general can be like very back and forth, very moody signs, because when we think about the Moon, and I know there was the full moon as well, that sort of energy came through, and I believe one of the Oracle cards was about like motivation and achievement, so it's like the height and peak of that energy. But like the Moon, it wanes, it waxes and it wanes, and like it controls the tides. It's like back and forth and wishy-washy, and I think that this person is releasing that sort of energy of not only being afraid of the unknown, but of being that unknown to other people, of existing in that limbo, of that like back and forth of maybe this and maybe that, and like not really making a decision one way or the other, because like they just like can't, they don't really know what they want. Like, they're releasing that, and they are releasing a fear of like not knowing what's going to come next. They're releasing that need for control that left them so detached from things. There's just a lot of release here, especially with death. Like, it's just, it feels like there was something that was a wake-up call, and it feels like something was really just like ripped from them. I think this is a game that they've been playing for far too long, and the universe was finally like, okay, we're done. Like, and everything, it feels like everything happened all at once. It's interesting, like, I am getting very much tower energy, but like, I think death comes through to say that this is something that was building up for a very long time. This is something like that the signs have been pointing to, that this was an unsustainable way of kind of moving throughout the world for a really long time. And so finally, everything has come to a head. And I think this person realizes that the best way to move through this, the best way to go about it, is to release, and accept that they're not really going to know, and that either way, like, you might not know the outcome, you might not know the best decision to make, but you still have to, you're in the driver's seat. Like, it's your life, you know, and things could fucking get fucked up at any moment. It's almost like there's a fear of like making the wrong decision, or of making a decision that is like, that will get them into more shit or something like that. Like, they don't want to make a decision and then like have it blow up in their face, or like, it's just someone who chronically does not make fucking decisions, and which is like kind of like me. I'm so indecisive, to be honest, but it's like, I don't really know why. I guess I'm just stupid, but I think they just don't want to make a decision because they don't want to deal with either of the consequences, and like, they're trying to release that, like, the idea that that is a sustainable way to do things, and that like, them not making a decision is definitely still sending messages to people and things, and it's still an energetic vibration, you know. But yeah, so that is kind of what I'm getting for why they're holding back. I know this reading is like really fucking long already. It might actually have to be broken up into 2 parts, but I did want to get another deck really quickly and just see the future of this connection. I know that I was saying before that I don't think that anything is going to happen in the near future, and I do think that is true, but just because I feel like I was a little bit harsh about it. And we have the 2 of Cups coming through behind the 5 of Swords. The 5 of fucking Wands. I'm a little interested, so I do just want to see, I want to leave this off on a little bit more of a positive note, because this is a very, like, this person is very much focused on themselves. Like, this reading has been very, like, them self-centric, and I kind of want to bring it back to you for a second, even though I know earlier I was, like, kind of being a little bit of a dick, but it's a love reading, so hold on. We're going to have to leave it off on something fluffy. All right, guys, I'm back. I actually got a couple of Oracle cards. Please don't shoot me in the head. Oops. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I don't think anyone's listening, to be honest. So for this part, we're just going to be using the Hush Tarot deck. I'm gripping it. Oh my goodness. But I did get a few Oracle cards. I'm trying to hurry up a little bit before my camera timer cuts off. So we're just going to take a look really quick at the future of this connection. And this is going to be probably not the near future, I will say, but just like where things might be headed in general, if that is you guys coming back into contact, or it's just like a permanent separation. We're gonna take a look and see. So we have free yourself. It's time to take control back control of your life. Oh my goodness. We have anticipation with the quail and the gooseberry. We have collaboration, as well as winter. So for the future of this connection, I feel like you guys are probably both going to move on to something better that resonates a little bit more with your life. I don't see this person in the near future, or in the future in general, being interested in romantic relationships. They seem like someone who kind of understands their own pitfalls at this point, or after they've come out of this energy. I think they have come out of it with an understanding of themselves more so. And I don't see that they're particularly interested in romantic relationships. I think they really just want to focus on giving themselves the nurturing that was absent from their life for so long. And that's not a nurturing that someone else can give. it's the kind of nurturing that does have to come from the self. And if they were to try and get into a relationship, I think they know that it would collapse, and that they would probably fall back into old habits of behavior and things like that. And they now have that understanding that they know where their how do I put this? I know there's a word for it. I guess they know like what they can't live up to, if that makes sense. They don't want to give you false hope. They don't want to give anyone false hope. They just don't really seem like that sort of person that is very romantic, and really interested in those sorts of relationships. It just seems like they kind of just want to focus on themselves and maybe their career, maybe their hobbies, but they want to keep their world small, and they know that right now, at the very least, like in the future, like I'm thinking like probably the next like 3 months to a couple years, which I know it's like a long time, but because it's so dependent for everyone. But I just don't see that you guys will come back with each other in that sort of way. These two cards, they're facing apart. Like, I think this person is in this energy of free yourself. They're trying to take back control of their life, and they're going to continue to have to really work at that. Like, it's not something that's easy for them. It's not something that's intuitive. And they know that if they're not consistently working at it, that they will fall back into old behaviors and will turn back into that person that they don't want to be anymore. And I think that you want to look ahead, and you probably do want something with someone. You want something receptive, honest, authentic, and beautiful. And I do see that if that's really where you want to go, like if that's where you're headed, that is in your future. And it looks like you are anticipating that, and that this was just maybe not meant to be. Like, you thought that you saw, or maybe you did see something in this person. You saw the potential of this relationship, but ultimately they're just not the kind of relationship oriented type of person. I think some people probably are perfectly fine just not having a relationship, maybe. I don't know. But at least for the future and for the time being, with the way this person is, healing and working on themselves. And like I said before, it seems like they're very slow moving with this, and they know that they have to be incredibly cautious and deliberate. And so they know that it would just be incredibly selfish of them to try and get into a relationship and be like, okay, I'm healed. They know that. Like, they know that would just be wrong of them in every capacity. And so they're not even interested in entertaining the idea of being in a romantic relationship, because they know that they just would not be able to do it. And they want to focus on doing right by people. Like, that's something big that's coming through, is that they've lost people and they've hurt people, and they don't like that. They really don't like that, but they know they did it, And so they're trying to pick up and move on, but also put themselves in a position where they don't have to, not that they don't have to, because like they didn't have to before, but where they won't be the kind of person that does hurt people. They are seeming like they want to avoid that at all costs. But yeah, it looks like you're looking ahead with collaboration in winter. So winter could be significant season. Of course, this is like a timeless reading whenever you're watching this. We're not in winter yet, summer right now, so it could be a good few months. This can indicate that you're in a period of winter or in a period of rest when it comes to romantic relationships, but that you're really looking for someone who will be collaborative with you. And I think that you are taking lessons learned from this dynamic and moving forward with them. And now you understand really what you want. Now you understand what you won't accept. But I think that you guys are going to part ways ultimately. So we're still going to get the tarot and see what is up with that. But at least in the future, the nearish future, these go over here. I don't see you guys coming back into contact And of course, like, take it as it resonates. If you're like, no, this is my person, like, I know that shit. Yeah, we've all been there. Not to be a dick. I don't know. I'm dealing with my own stuff right now, which is probably why I'm in a very weird and kind of slightly upset mood today, but I'm always in a slightly upset mood, so it'd be like that. But Spirit, what is the future of this connection with them and their person? Please tune me into this energy. What is the future of this connection? Oh, we have the Four of Pentacles. The Tower. Okay, there's the Tower. And the Knight of Wands reversed. We're gonna get the clarifiers just because I feel like this is going on for too long. But the Seven of Swords, the Queen of Wands, and the Four of Cups. The King of Cups is on the bottom. Behind that, we have the Ten of Wands. I don't know if I can show that because she has her nipples out, but we have Justice. Okay. So, I think this person is, like, definitely continuing to focus on their stability. It does seem like there's definitely separate energy. Like, I don't really see that, like I said, y'all are coming back into contact or in that romantic way, especially with, like, the Knight of Wands reversed and the Four of Cups. Like, it seems like any romantic advance they are probably saying no to. Like, I don't think that this is just you. I think that they know that that's not really the place that they're in, and that saying no means that they're doing right by themselves as well as other people. They're really focused on what they truly want, and they're kind of keeping their line of sights set on that. I know the Four of Cups a lot of times is interpreted as, like, the pouting card and of just, like, rejecting any offer, but it's a card of the cups. Like, it's a cups card. So it's about emotions and intuition, and it's about, like, the fours are stability. It's about being able to trust yourself, which is something that this person has chronically struggled with, right? So I think that this Four of Cups comes through to say that they're able to finally do that. And it's very slow moving energy as before. When we see the Knights in reverse, oftentimes, like, the best course of action with them means no action at all, because any action would bring out that sort of shadow side. With the Knight of Wands, it can be that impulsivity. It can be, like, being hot-headed and making decisions like that, but not really thinking them through. And this is, you know, coming through to say, like, I think this person's, like, done with that. Anything that is coming towards them, like, it's just not really going anywhere. They're blocking it. They're saying no to it. They're trying to keep their world small, keep the things that they can control, like, in their immediate reach. And they're being careful not to make any rash decisions, not to be that Knight of Wands, they're not really charging forward ahead towards anything. They're just trying to, like, I mean, really just focus on themselves, focus on what they want. I think that they're trying to figure out how to trust people and things, but they're also trying to figure out how to trust themselves. With that Seven of Swords, like, it oftentimes talks about, like, someone being sneaky, and maybe that's, like, the energy that this person was in, but it really feels like it's the fact that they can't trust themselves, or they're really trying to work on it. I hear the I hear Biscoff suckling on nothing. Oh my goodness. But yeah, they're really trying to work on being able to trust themselves, being able to trust that they can keep good things in their life. Maybe that's why they had this like touch and go attitude. This is like more so about them again, which is like just kind of I feel like the way the energy of this reading was going. So sorry. Like this ended up just, you know, not really being a love reading. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that maybe they were so touch and go with their life and things because they did not trust that good things would stick around. So there was no point in getting attached. And they're trying to actively combat that mentality and trust that they can hold on to things and trust that good things are meant to stay in their life. And in the near future, like, I don't think that, like, the tower's coming through. So, like, they're still, whether or not, like, anyone else can see it, they're still feeling unstable. They're still feeling this change. And they're trying to like work through it. They're trying to like, you know, fake it till they make it. With that Queen of Wands coming through, they're trying to like appear like they have their shit together, but it still feels like they're very much in that unstable energy. And like, again, they're just trying to focus on themselves. I think you guys are going into very different places. And I think that one of the lessons that they probably need to learn in this lifetime is to find that inner stability and be able to listen to that more feminine side of themselves. Because it's interesting that we have had two queens coming out. The King of Cups is on the bottom of the deck. Like, it really feels like they're finally piecing things together. And then like that King of Cups coming through on the bottom of the deck, like that's their future. They're moving towards that energy where they're able to like be more proactive, with their emotions and like communicate them more, because the King is about like that masculine side of things, and about like really doing something about the way you're feeling, not just like feeling it, like letting yourself feel it and not being drowned by it, but doing something with it. Like you'll see he's like almost offering up that cup there. So definitely they're still piecing things together in the near future. I just think that you guys are probably going in different directions in life, and they're in a period of major healing and will continue to be in that period for a long time. And it's not that I'm feeling like you don't want to stick around for that, but I'm just thinking that you probably won't. So yes, I'm going to leave this off here because it got super duper long and out of hand, but that was your reading. I swear to God, I really try and like get some like cute fluffy stuff, and it just never really comes through like that. But I hope you enjoyed, and if it resonated, I hope that there was something helpful in there for you, even if this was not exactly what you wanted to hear. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope I will see you in the next one.